Good morning, entrepreneurs. You're tuned into the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. You are watching Entreprenews. My name is Chaz Vandemotter.
Dustin Trout.
And we are ready to bring you the top 6 trending small business headlines in the world, Craig. Dustin, do you have anything you want to add to my glorious intro?
Nope, hit the nail on the head. Top 6 headlines, small business news for entrepreneurs. Keep you up to date. Ready to dive in?
Yeah, thank you again if you're tuning in on Facebook Live. Check us out on the podcast if you're not listening there. Anywhere you can find us, Entreprenews. I'm ready to dive in. I'm ready to take the belt and celebrate, pop some champagne.
And then reality sinks in. All right, going into our first story, U of A. They're awarded $26 million to architect the quantum internet. So they'll be receiving $26 million over 5 years from the National Science Foundation. This includes a 5-year option at the end for another $24.5 million. They'll be joined by the likes of Harvard, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Yale. So some pretty big names there. They're trying to revolutionize how humankind computes, communicates, and senses the world by creating a fabric to connect quantum computers, data centers, and gadgets using quantum computing. Yep. Ultimately, quantum computing just makes passing of data that much quicker, so things load faster. There's a lot you can do, from autonomous driving. It's just the next revolution of technology, and really, I mean, is this the next frontier of what's going to benefit mankind, or is this, it's all around data? Is people's privacy and data going to be exploited through this?
Well, I don't think we know enough about all of this, and so that there needs to be research done. And my thought on the matter is that out of the stakeholders that could be completing this research, I think it's going to be done the most profitability agnostic way, with these research institutions doing it. Humbled to have something here on the West Coast in Arizona, but standing in the likes of Harvard, Stanford, MIT, all of these other entities that are also a part of this. I guess my question is, $26 million for 4 years or 5 years. What is the outcome we're looking for that's going to, allow us to say, hey, this is a successful project? I wonder what that is defined as. And I also wonder, how is this going to work in terms of, what is next for us as a society? Are there going to be laws around how you can quantum compute? But yeah, I mean, I think there's still a lot of ambiguity around this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknowns, but I mean, it's tough. We're gonna have to be reactive, but I mean, my thought is, to your point, $26 million over 4 years. I mean, it's a whole lot. I mean, it's a big number, but it's a whole lot of nothing whenever you compare it to $1 billion in fraud that happened with PPP loans. And really, it's these are all huge colleges. They're prestigious colleges. That's great, but colleges aren't the quickest to do things. They don't have profitability in mind. I mean, you have Google that's huge on quantum computing. You have a bunch of big companies. Why isn't there more collaboration between the colleges that are doing the research and the companies that have profit in mind? I think it's a healthy blend.
They're getting called into the Senate to testify about the data privacy policies that they have and the sneaky things that they're doing. I don't want them touching this. So
China's quickly becoming number one. So it's tough. How do you balance that? I hope that Harvard and Stanford and MIT can continue to lead the charge here, because we got to trust in our own. Well, getting into our next story, payroll tax cuts start today. So the Trump administration has put forth a policy that is allowing small business owners and single employees to be able to defer their payroll tax until the end of 2020. This is something where we've done the triple P, we've done the stimulus, looking for ways to still give relief without printing more money, without having issues with fraud, without shooting ourselves in the foot more than we already have. I think we got a couple bullet holes in one foot, and so we're running out of places to shoot ourselves in the foot. And so
Dustin, what are your thoughts on this payroll tax deferral program, and do you think that this is the right way forward for how we deal with the economic crisis that's happening?
I mean, it's interesting. I do love that, we're not printing money and, on the side of inflation, but I mean, I wonder what foresight is being done. I know in the story it mentions that Trump is trying to work with Steve Mnuchin on figuring out if they can make this to where it's forgivable, similar to the PPP program. But again, you have all this ambiguity. You have cement that's still drying, and we're moving forward. And it's how many people are going to rely on this, going, oh, you know what, they'll figure it out. It'll be forgivable, just to be burdened with the huge bill next year. And even then, it's it is good that we're putting more money in people's pockets. But with that deferral, it's make numbers easy. If I'm getting $100 a paycheck now, and now with this I'm at $150. Most people are going to adjust their lifestyle to spend at $150. Then all of a sudden next year comes, and now we have to go back down to $60 paychecks to make up for the money that was deferred. And so you're going to have a huge wake up call to people.
You're paying double, yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, and that's the whole thing is like, well, is this supposed to help our GDP, speed up the velocity of money, give us some kind of consumer spending back, and at what cost? Yeah, because it's like I don't know. I think that it's tough.
I mean, I think the goal is you're putting a little bit more money in everyone's pockets. They're going to go spend, which then is going to create more jobs, which then is going to create more cash influx, which then people can get pay raises and all that. So then the deferral isn't going to be impacted. But I mean, hopefully it all works that way. I mean, we got the election coming, and there's a lot of variables at play that could not lead us down that path. But again, I think it is better than printing money, though.
No, I agree. And you preach this all the time, be responsible. Some people are going to make good decisions with this policy in place, and some people are going to make irresponsible decisions or too risky of decisions with the way that they use their cash. And at the end of the day, that's the luxury we have as being American citizens. We have the choice. And so, hard to feel too bad for people that are kind of doing it to themselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's things have been coming back. Seeing more cars on the road. I mean, people are getting out and about more, and you mentioned all the time, outcomes driven. If our whole outcome is to create more spending and help with the cash, then we should be thinking more on the back end. I mean, I would hate to create another bubble just because all of a sudden people are caught with big bills that they didn't know they'd be having.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, getting into our next story, Walmart Plus. They've been in the news. They're going to be launching $98 subscription, free shipping on orders a minimum of $35, unlimited delivery, more than 160,000 items. I am all about Walmart Plus. Get me in, all in, chips on the table. I love this. They're launching on September 15th. They wouldn't have waited this long if they weren't planning on doing this right. They've known e-commerce is a big deal for a long time, Dustin. They've had Walmart.com pumping for years. And with their robust logistics network, all of the experience that they have, all of the relationships that they've built in 3 times the lifetime of Amazon, if not more, I'm betting on Walmart. All in. Dustin, what do you think about this?
Yeah, good luck competing with Amazon. I mean, it's you go out into the world, and if you ask, as many people as you can, what do you think about Amazon? What do you think about Walmart? More people, I feel, are going to have negative feedback on Walmart, and I hear you that the cost is the same, but I mean, Amazon offers streaming TV services, streaming music. They have file storage. I mean, there's like 20 different things that come with Amazon Plus or Amazon Prime that they're not even really advertising. They've just started it, but I mean, in terms of you're going to be paying the same amount either way. They've been working on getting more distribution centers to bring down the delivery time. I mean, I think there is a huge segment that I mean, it is going to benefit Walmart. They're going to make tons of money off of it, but I think if the argument is, are they going to steal a ton of market share from Amazon? I don't think that's the case, unless they can get extremely innovative. And I mean, you got photo search. There's a lot that they can do to incorporate into that. I mean, they allude to more perks, but I don't know what those are. So I think it's going to be great for consumers, though.
They're gonna beat Amazon in food, okay? They're gonna beat them in apparel. They're gonna go head to head with them in many other places. All right, this is something where I see it being Amazon is looked on so favorably because of the amount of money that people have made on the stock of Amazon. And the fact that that stock is completely inflated doesn't, and that also being the whole reason why people love Amazon, I think is unsustainable. I think that, Walmart has got so much in terms of private labeled products. They don't have this third party issue that Amazon has where they don't even own their supply chain because people are responsible for their success, really. And on top of that, Bezos has just gotten probed and lied to the American people and was caught lying to the American people about putting small businesses out of business that use Amazon as a platform.
And the average consumer does not care about it. I mean, that's why we're doing this, so that we can convey the news so people can be, more, as you say, woke to all of this. And what you've mentioned, Amazon has made people a ton of money through investments. Good luck trying to get people to go, hey, thank you for making me money, but you know what? Amazon or Walmart came out with something that's the exact same price. I'm going to leave you and go over to Walmart. I don't think that's going to happen.
Go buy some Walmart stock. It's not overinflated like
that. That's a whole other argument. I'd agree with you there. I mean, look at the P&Es on both, and yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we'll agree to disagree. We'll touch base on this one, but
only time will tell.
Buy Walmart stock. Okay, getting into our next story. Meritage Homes closes on a lot with 172 individual lots, paid $1.96 million for this property. This is crazy to see. I mean, the real estate market in Arizona is flying off the shelf. So, Dustin, I'm wondering, in your opinion, how does Phoenix equate when you see these types of real estate projects happening one after another, hundreds of people moving a day to Arizona? What does this look like in terms of the growth of the Arizona economic kind of climate?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I am super bullish that Arizona is going to become, a huge mecca for business, for just everything. I mean, you got people leaving New York, California, all these big cities that are the top five. That, the taxes are high. They're built in a very small area, so you got tons of people that are crammed together. And what we're going through now with COVID, Arizona's the perfect spot. We're huge. It takes you an hour and a half to go from one side of the valley to the other side. And so, Amazon, we mentioned last week that they're going to be out in Goodyear. And so it's like, hey, they're going to be out there. They just landed this deal. They just basically sold all their homes to all the future warehouse employees there. It's insane. I'm out in South Mountain, and it's within 2 or 3 miles, there's 4 or 5 new subdivisions going up. And it's insane how many people are moving here. But I'm for it. Just the cost of living is so much cheaper when you look at the taxes and everything. It's just more affordable, and I think the trend will continue. But as that trend continues, we'll quickly become the New Yorks and Californias where the cost of living is going to go up. There's already stories about rent in downtown Phoenix is just skyrocketing, and people are having to move out, and so.
Yeah, no, it's going to continue to grow for sure. It's 5th largest city in the U.S., and I wouldn't necessarily say that I'd put it up there in top 3 range, but I think that it's going to continue to grow. It also begs the question of, like, what is that bang for your buck, especially as a business moving to Arizona? We talk about 172 lots getting sold for less than $2 million. 172 lots in San Francisco. It's already come down significantly, I'm sure, in terms of property value, but still, like, it's 10x, if not more. And so, you either spend $2 million in California or you spend $2 million here, you're going to get so much more for that. And so, that's such an incentive on top of the sandboxes that Ducey has been an advocate of. I think there's a lot of legislation that's favorable to small businesses and even C Corps and larger businesses, especially in like the fintech space and a few other areas. I think it's going to be something where, there's a lot of upside to moving to a place like Arizona for your company.
Look at Tesla. They were looking at a couple different places, but moving from California, I think they landed in Texas. But just in taxes, it saved them hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's like, okay, as a business, if I move locations, I have a couple extra $100 million. Okay, I can do a lot more and grow my business much quicker. Why would I even do business in California? It blows my mind how many companies are headquartered in California due to just the taxes. But it's a lot of networking, I guess.
It's going to continue to be kind of a snowball effect, I think, in terms of people moving from California, New York, places like that.
Yeah.
Before we get into our next story, want to mention that we are powered by State 48. Rocking some State 48 collab today, actually. You know, it
Got the
speaks
hat
for
on?
itself. We got drip out here in Entreprenews, and it's all thanks to SFE. Really love what they're doing. Dustin, tell them about State 48 real quick.
Yeah, I mean, making awesome clothing for all, inspired by Arizona. But I mean, even outside of that, it's I mean, we keep harping on a lot. We're huge on community and bringing the community together, and that's their huge focus on is building a community. And through that, what they're doing is partnering with different nonprofits and doing collaborations there. And the profits or proceeds, part of it goes back to that nonprofit. So not only are they making super comfortable clothing that looks really good, it's also going back into the community and to hands of the people that really need it. So make sure to check them out, state48.com.
Amen to that.
Cool. Going into our next story. So 63% of in-office employees have COVID stress. Who would have ever thought COVID stress would even be a thing? On the contrary, 35% of remote workers have COVID stress. So you got a lot less COVID stress if you're working remote. This was all done, 1,000 different people were surveyed, so it's not a tiny little survey. And from that, 51% of the people say that their mental health has worsened, through this COVID crisis. When it comes to motivation, the numbers kind of change there, with 51% of remote workers feeling unmotivated, not wanting to actually get their work done, whereas 45%. So you got one option: you can have people in-house and dealing with a lot more stress, but they're more motivated, or you can have people that have less stress, but they're less motivated. What's the lesser of two evils there? What's crazy though is, mental health has cost businesses $44 billion in lost productivity this last year. And so really, I mean, the question is, we talked about 401k, that company that's coming in and helping small business. I mean, keeping in line with benefits, I mean, should more businesses be expanding into the mental health when it comes to their benefits offering? Is there something the government should be doing to mandate some of this, knowing that that's such a huge, $44 billion, that's a ton of money.
The answer is yes, and yes, and yes some more, and yes one more time after that. Why are we not doing this already? We do it for physical ailments. Mental health, in my opinion, is a physical ailment, and it's something that is swept across the United States, and especially now with you working remote, being by yourself, not having that sense of community, being stuck in your home. People are already dealing with a lot of these mental problems that are caused by technology, that are caused by alienation, that are caused by loneliness. And so to further put people down those wormholes over the last 6-7 months, of course it's going to cause problems. People need to interact with other people. People need to have contact. People need to be able to go outside. And so this is a huge problem. It should definitely, and it starts with the insurance companies covering it. But this is a trickle down from insurance companies to the businesses that purchase the insurance, to the government that makes sure that the insurance companies are acting ethically and allowing for this to be accessible treatment that people can purchase without it costing them an arm and a leg. And so I think it absolutely should be standard.
No, I completely agree. I mean, it blows my mind how many businesses just look at the cost of things rather than the output or the ROI of it. And it's like, sure, it might cost you an extra $500-600 a month per employee, but by not paying that, it's going to cost you an extra $2,000, $3,000 in actual revenue being driven because of the unproductivity. And so I think it should totally be looked at. I mean, I'm not one for regulation and forcing businesses to do something. Those who decide to invest will be the winners, and those will become the big companies, and the best will win. But I think that there is something to be said about the mental side. I'm huge on it, and if it's impacting productivity this much and costing $44 billion, I think it's in the best interest of businesses to figure out how to circumvent that, essentially.
Yep.
Cool. So going on to our final story. So tech tumbles. So the tech industry tumbled quite a bit on Wall Street. So it's been the sharpest fall since June over the last couple days. So the NASDAQ yesterday was down 5%. The S&P was down 6%. The biggest losses come from the tech sector, with Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Tesla leading the way. I mean, it's crazy. Tesla alone was down 9% yesterday, and I think 5% the day before. I mean, that's Elon Musk. That's a big chunk of change taken out of your bank account. I mean, that's probably a couple billion. is this the beginning of the end for, the tech industry, or is this the beginning of the end for the ever-growing stock market as we've seen it recently?
Well, it's tough. This one definitely affected me, as I'm sure it affected plenty of you guys out there. I'm feeling it. But, I'll also say that, this is the dawning of the age of the value stock. And so seeing these growth stocks that people have long invested in, I mean, Tesla is an easy target. There's plenty of others like it. But, it goes back to that P/E ratio, right? And so I think that this is going to be an ongoing thing, but I don't think it's the beginning of the end. We saw in the .com bubble, it kind of popped. I think that was built way more unsustainably than what has been built in this second wave of tech bubble. I think that this tech is not necessarily in a bubble. I think that it is continuing to innovate month over month, year over year. And so it's not necessarily some faux kind of value on, a lot of the things that are being created. I think that, it's just these companies like Amazon, Apple, Tesla that have pretty much run the entire perception of the stock market. When they start struggling, when they're built up unsustainably like they have been, then it's going to affect the market as a whole. And so that's what I think we're seeing, but I wouldn't say it's the beginning of the end.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I mean, going back to the .com, I mean, it was all cool dreams and everything back then, where now there's actual business models.
Exactly.
There's ways of making revenue.
Exactly.
There's it is more sustainable, but
just,
there was a really big run. And so, I mean, everything,
That's
all
true.
good things must come to an end eventually. And granted, this isn't going to be a huge end, but I mean, anytime I see sharpest fall since June or biggest declines or, those big things, all that tells me is, look, it's not going away, but buy. Now's the time to buy. If you got that extra money laying around, now's the time to buy. But I mean, going back to what you're looking at, you got so many of these big companies like the Apples, especially Tesla. I mean, we're talking before this, my dad is huge on it. It's like, we mentioned P&E quite a bit, and it's how long is it going to take before you actually get a return on your money? And it's like 52 years for Tesla because they're not driving a ton of revenue. It's all speculation. Everyone loves the idea of the business model, but it hasn't really exploded. I mean, there was a number the other day that I saw where it's like Ford has sold a couple 100 million vehicles where Tesla's, the 20, 30,000.
Yeah.
Those aren't the exact numbers, but the discrepancy
yeah.
between the two is huge. But the value of Tesla is way bigger than Ford, so it's like there's a lot of weird things going on. But definitely, I don't think this
We're
is
also
the beginning
feeling
of
the
the end.
pain of the rise of the stock trader with these apps coming out like Robinhood and everything else. So I think it's it'll be interesting to see, but stay woke and you'll be able to kind of see these things before they happen. But looking back on the stories, Walmart Plus, get it all in, baby.
Just loves Walmart.
Put my car keys, put my phone. It's all going in the pot, man. I truly think that it's time for something to compete, and who better than really the only other business on our continent that can do anything about it. So I want to support them, and hopefully they'll bring some competition to this landscape.
Yeah, no, my favorite is the U of A getting some money, but more so the quantum computing. I mean, we've been talking about it quite a bit. I mean, we've seen huge businesses built just going from 3G to 4G. I mean, this kind of gets us to in the 5G and just the passing a day. I mean, it's just going to create so many more opportunities that we can't even fathom right now. And I can't wait to see that explosion of jobs that comes. And I mean, there's going to be some downfall to it and people taking advantage of some things, and hopefully regulation can quickly come into place. But I'm excited to see the future. I nerd out over it.
Yeah, no, it is exciting. Well, again, you guys are tuned in to the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. This is Entreprenews. Thank you for checking us out. Hopefully you are watching or listening to the podcast. You can find us anywhere you type in the word Entreprenews directly into the search bar on Google, YouTube, Twitter, wherever. We're there. So check us out. We appreciate you following the mission to bring unbiased news to entrepreneurs and really keep us all informed on what are the hot takes, what's going on right now that we can be using to our advantage. How do we make our business better? So that's the MO. Dustin, anything you want to add?
No, appreciate you guys tuning in. Make it a great Friday. Make it a great weekend. Get some stuff done and enjoy Labor Day. We'll be back.